running out of ink, so he just gave me a handful.
Oh, wow. When do we get a tour of that area? I had emailed Kevin here a while ago and he said, hey, whenever your board wants to come do a tour, just let me know, bring them all. Okay.
He wants to do a tour for us,
Yeah.
so I think he's gonna set that up.
Your pen doesn't work. No, I got this thing on the end.
I'm gonna be there in.
Still brand new.
19 days.
Oh, I
It's
appreciate
not-
you.
it's not-
That's right.
The airport and,
Stand down.
I'm
Says
just.
Thursday.
Well,
Well, you're gonna have to plan the next one before you leave on this one.
It's
planned.
Is that
Always
good?
planned. That's how I've survived 5 years.
just a bunch
Nice job.
Yeah. Stepping up.
We're impressed, Mr. Bonnet. We're, Commission, we're very impressed.
They're nice pens.
They're really nice.
Glad you looked.
They really work well as a stylus too, on your iPad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, rubber in.
Yeah, it works instead of your finger.
Nice.
Dual purpose.
Okay.
Go. You ready? Call the meeting to order, make sure everybody's mic is turned on, and that will stand for the pledge of allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You.
All right, the roll call.
Commissioner Robbins,
Here.
Commissioner Walter,
Yeah.
Commissioner Bunnick,
Here.
Commissioner Wessel,
Here.
Commissioner Campbell,
Here.
Commissioner Eldred, Chairman Yoder,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. Next up, we got approval of the agenda. Do you have any late additions or deletions? Take a motion. Mr. Russell,
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
supported by Commissioner Bunning. Discussion? Not all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Next up, we have public comment. None? Commissioner comments? Good morning.
I would like to have on our next agenda a closed session to discuss the results of that we received from the whatever you call it, the complaint.
Okay.
And I say that because we need to evaluate it so that we're going to need to change our policy. We're working as we went, as we did that. And I think we need to look at it from a policy standpoint. Not only look at, see how it turned out, but also we're gonna need to change our policy. So next time, there won't be a next time. Let's just assume there won't be a next time. But anyway, so that we're not caught working on the fly, which I what happened. So that would be my request, that be a agenda item at the next meeting.
I think you might want to see any opinion on whether that would be appropriate. Clearly discussing the report is one thing, but discussing in closed session, a change of policy.
Correct, but you can't change the policy till you actually have a conversation about the report. And as I said, something needs to, we just need to have a system in place.
I thought we did.
well, without, no, I do not believe that there was a system that says this should go to the county attorney. I'm not trying to argue the merits of that or the non-merits of it. I just want to make sure that there is a system in place so that it isn't a question mark. And to do that, you got to talk about what came in. Anyways, if you guys don't want, that's fine, or if I have any support to put that as an agenda item.
Yeah, I think we could do it as an agenda item and talk about the policy and do it. I don't know that we have to discuss that, this particular instance, but changing the policy, we can do it at any time. So if we want to put it on the next agenda, I think that's fine to discuss it.
You don't want to leave it as a question mark.
Yeah, and if we can maybe reaffirm what we did, and just make that as part of the policy. So you know what to do.
Yeah, I'm
I
not,
like that idea.
You're looking at a policy of how to handle complaints,
Correct.
so.
well, as you know, the administrator handles complaints. What happens if it's a complaint against the administrator? How do you handle that? I think that's a discussion. Hopefully this is the last one any of us ever see, probably will, but it's not just for this board, it's for the next board and the next board and the next board.
My understanding is you just like on the agenda, the policy that deals with complaints, have that on the agenda for discussion. Probably possible changes, whatever.
And so your next meeting is gonna be the executive session.
Executive session.
Okay.
yeah.
Correct.
Gotcha. I just wanna make sure I put that in.
Where it should be.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? All right. We are on to action items. First, we have Jennifer, Register of Deeds here to give us an update.
Yeah.
Floor is yours.
And I have Rachel with me. Okay, I don't know, did you guys read through this or do we need, I don't know how to. We need to read line by line or if everybody's kind of already looked at it or,
We discussed about the 10,000 you want to do for the, sending out the documents. And I'd like to have a discussion about that.
Yep. Okay, that's fine. I have that at the end. Do you want to go through the rest of it first or, okay?
Is this the same stuff that was in the budget?
Yeah, there's a couple changes.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing this, so yeah.
Okay, okay, all right, so basically the role of the Register of Deeds is to preserve, record, maintain the transparency, integrity, accessibility of all legal documents pertaining to real estate within the county. And the information provided by the Register of Deeds is a critical foundation for the real estate market, which is the key component of economic development within a community. And that was proven with what happened in Wexford, and I'm sure everybody's heard about there when they had that breach in Wexford. We are also the chairman of the plat board, and then it's not mandated, but we do process all the new passports. Next page. One thing I wanted to point out was, which I think is pretty huge, is that we are staffed where we need to be. And that we have the right people in the right spots. I kind of put a little history of who's working in the office and that we have 59 plus years of experience in land records between the four of us. So pretty confident that things are gonna move along smoothly and shouldn't have any issues. Next page. I broke down all the money that comes in, the revenues that we bring into the office and what account they go into. I took, as of August 31st, the actual of each of those accounts of what has been brought in. Are there any questions on these accounts?
Can you tell me where in the book? This has to be in our book.
This is not in the book. This is just part of my presentation today.
These are her revenues, so the revenue section's in the first portion of your book, under revenue summary.
And then I put together this as part of the presentation. Did you guys get a packet ahead of time with all this information? Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay. I thought you guys have already seen this, so I guess we'll take a slower pace then. Or faster. So these are the revenues that are brought into the office. We collect the state transfer tax. That has to go to the state. The county transfer tax stays in the general fund. Our recording fees, which is the services, that's divided into 3 different parts. $4 of it goes to the state remonumentation program. $5 goes into the automation fund, which I have that described more later on in the back with that other project that we want to do. And then $21 of it stays in the general fund. We have the copy fees coming in, web revenue. We also collect the tax certification, which is the treasurer stamps our warranty deeds, land contracts, master deeds, whatever requires a tax certification. The treasurer stamps those, checks them, makes sure taxes are paid, and then we collect the funds for that. Passport applications go into the general fund. Pictures, the new ones that we do, the clerk office takes the pictures and then we collect it and then it goes into the general fund. Then we have some IRS fees, and then the MSSRA admin fees, we get to keep 1.5% of those state remon funds that are collected that go to the state. Do you understand all that? Yeah, okay.
So you expect that to be quite a bit higher, it looks like this year.
Well, that's why I put where we're at as of August 31st.
Okay.
And then on the next page, I just showed where I got those amounts from on the previous page from that revenue report. And then I just put in expenses versus revenues, so you can see that what has paid out of the register of deeds, that there's still some left to the general fund after all of the register of deeds expenses are paid, which is kind of we have a unique office in that way. With the funds that are brought in, we kind of can cover what expenses are going out. And that just is kind of a picture of where we're at as of August 31st, if that makes sense. Okay. And then I did a projection of, on the next page, of 2020, next year, what it looks like. One of the line items, after kind of examining it, seeing where we're at this year, the very first one, the county transfer tax, on the budget in the revenues, I had 350,000.
Yeah.
And after reviewing the trends, we've decided to increase that to 400,000. You can see where we're at right now with the county transfer tax. We are at 304,000 as of the end of August this year, and we still have, what, 5 months left? So I'm comfortable moving that revenue up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that would be shown in your budget book on page 407. It's registered transfer tax. It's account 16, 614.002. That's the number that Jennifer's referring to. The way that the general fund revenues are all set out on pages 1 through 7 of your first part of your book. It's only the expenditures that would begin on page 45 of the registered deeds.
So those are all the expected revenues that we expect to come into the general fund for next year. And there's that revenue on the bottom. And then the next page is the budgetary worksheet that I updated and put together. And what page was that on, did you say?
45.
Yeah.
Okay.
Expenditures 45.
Okay, this is the revenue one. Or I'm sorry, no, you're right, it's the expenditures.
Expenditures.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, that's page 45.
And so I just did a tally of all of those. I kind of just moved them all over and I took the new, what was on the salary worksheet as well that was projected. I took what the new salary projections would be from that worksheet. I just also put those on here.
I can't see the numbers. Is that pretty much what's in the book or?
It should be, she probably doesn't have the adjustment like from the last meeting that you asked non-union to go to 3%. And both Jennifer and Rachel's wages are non-union wages, as long as their fringes would not be included in that, but
I just
she's just using the numbers that she has referenced.
that I have access to, had access to.
And finance is working on a revised pro forma of this to show you those expense changes that are known with the ratification of the contracts. So,
Yeah, and I just kind of did a right from the worksheet, which didn't, the numbers are very hard to read on there, but rather than retyping them, I didn't have the time to do all that. But the bottom line, and I know this is gonna be updated again, it sounds like, 472,535, and then on the next sheet, that's where I got the projected expenses from, but it sounds like that will change a little bit. So our projected revenues, projected expenses, which sounds like that will change. And then after our office is funded, what'll be left to the general fund.
so you're making us money.
Yeah, I guess.
That's not a-
I really, the big point that I wanted to put out there was that our office funds itself. And then the next page is the automation fund. What is the automation fund? This just kind of defines that the state legislature enacted a law that we need to collect $5 from every document to go into this fund. And what can the fund be used for? Upgrading includes the design, upgrading anything in the Register of Deeds office, which includes the design and purchase of equipment, supplies, implementation, and you can read that all there. Including.
Read it if it was close.
Okay, okay.
So that fund stays here,
That fund
or
is,
does it go to the state?
no, the fund stays here for the Register of Deeds to upgrade their technologies in their office.
It's a restricted fund for use for those purposes.
And then the next page, kind of, I did a projection of that map project that I wanted to do. And after looking at the funds that were in there, I would like to change this project to just a rolling project. So I don't have to start this year, stop it, and then start next year and then stop it and do this for 5 years. I kind of just want to make it a rolling project so we can keep going. Maybe take 50 maps at a time, send them to Texas. This is the same company that did the book last year. So I did bring show and tell of what I received back from last year. Some of you in my office have already seen it, had stopped in and have seen it. And I think I brought in, probably not to everybody that was here, but the old book that we had sent in that was falling apart, the pages were coming out, they were deteriorating. This is what we got back, and all preserved, deacidified, and in these waterproof, fireproof books. So the one book I sent out came back in 2. This was one of the maps. If you can go to the next page. This is the map that was in the book that was sent out that we got back. And the process on that sheet that was in the budget packet shows how they do this stuff. But obviously, if there's pieces missing, they can't replace the pieces. But you can see how badly that map was on there. And when we got it back, this is what it looked like. They did a phenomenal job. And it's not supposed to deteriorate anymore. You can't get fingers, you can't touch it, you can't, it's on a piece of, Japanese paper of some sort that doesn't deteriorate something. It's in that packet that I gave you that explains the process that they do it.
How does that fit in that book?
It doesn't. It fits in our map cabinet now. We took all the maps out of there and they fit in our map cabinet now. These are what all the maps in our map cabinet are in. You can see that the oils are leaking onto the pages and create a chemical reaction. This shows that the chemical reaction that's happening, and this is happening to all the maps that are in that cabinet. So we need to stop that from happening.
So you've been doing this project with them.
This is a new project they're getting started on, but we've been
Redoing the books.
we've been redoing books. Yeah, and this is a project after seeing what's happening to the maps, which here's one right here. And it's sticky. If you want, you can touch it or not, but it's sticky. And you can see that the writing is starting to come off and the maps are sticking to this vinyl.
That's a plat from probably the 60s.
This one is actually one of the newer ones. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see what the year is on this one. This one's from 93,
Okay, so it's not that old.
right? But you can see that the
Yeah.
right ink is starting to come off onto the vinyl and it's sticking. These maps are sticking. So actually the newer maps we need to get done first because they're a bigger chemical reaction than with the paper ones. But so that's the project I want to do. And it does come out of the automation fund. I have not had Profile update their bid yet until I know if you guys will allow us to continue the project going, keeping it going, or if you wanted to keep it at the 5 years. So that's a decision you'll have to make, and then I can have them. They can also come in and explain the process a little better if you want them to. Whatever you guys want.
So I just wondered, so this is supposed to be for updating, I thought, technology.
It is, this
So
is,
this is
and
considered-
preservation.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is for preservation.
Yeah, and it's upgrading the technology of these vinyl.
But using this fund for doing this, will it stop you from getting, newer technology items if you need it?
If you go, Lauren, if you can go back to the previous, yeah, it showed, the funds are in there to do this. What the fund balance is as of August 31st, what's projected for our expenses through the end of the year, what we project to come in. That is kind of breaks it down. But if we do need new software or something, we do want to keep a balance in there because as you guys are looking at new software for other stuff, we know it's not cheap. So I don't want to deplete that in case there's new software that comes around. I want to have the money in there to be able to do that as well. So we definitely have the funds in there to keep it rolling.
By keeping it rolling, no. Yeah, give.
Instead
I
of
can't
doing
read
it,
that, so
yeah,
what
instead
are
of
you talking about?
Instead of doing 10,000 for this in
Right.
2026, and then once we get to that 10,000 point, we got to stop the project and then wait till the next year. So instead of doing it in 5 years, we want to kind of cut that in half and do it in 2.5. So next year would be about $20,000 out of this fund.
You know what, a way to see it is to take a picture with your phone. And then we can read it.
I would have brought you all copies had I known. I guess I thought this was all coming out to you guys. I'm sorry. I would have, and I can email this to you so you can see it.
We can't see it down here, well,
I'll get you some binoculars.
We got both screens working today.
we do.
Based upon her fund balance in that fund and the projected revenues over the next 2 or 3 years, it was my opinion that making this a 2.5 to 3 year project rather than a 5 year project was more than reasonable. And it's very important. I I had when I was manager in Northport, we had an issue that turned heavily on 1854, I think it was, plat map that was very difficult to read in its dead condition. So, but it turned on that document.
There isn't another company that I'm aware of that does this. When I went to see my cousin last January, I actually got to visit I took a side trip and went and visited their facility in Texas. And just happened to be there when this book arrived. So it was really kind of cool to see how the process works and the deacidification. And I was always very skeptical about letting any of this stuff out of the office. But I'm comfortable going through this process, what we went through and the checks and balances that they use, that they hand pick them up, they hand take them there. I was comfortable. I feel comfortable with it. So.
Jennifer, you talk about finding your lot in life. I can remember last year when you talked about your vacation and visiting this plant. And I'm thinking, well, it's not quite like fishing or like, but you were every bit as excited.
Oh, man, I love this stuff. So, yeah, I thought, well, I'm down there, I might as well, right?
Yeah.
On my own dime too, so.
Yes, I remember that.
That's where we're at. So I guess I'll forward this PowerPoint to you. I thought it was already to you. I'm sorry that it wasn't, or I would have given you all copies. And then I can just let me know, I guess, if you want me to have him update that bid. Then different than what's in the packet down to like a 2.5 year.
So 5 versus 2.5, would that increase the project to be done?
So, yes,
Okay.
2.5 years instead of 5.
I don't know if we need to do anything if we just put it in the budget.
I would agree.
Okay,
As long as you're not concerned that that's an inappropriate use of funds, we'll just make sure that the budget is altered to reflect that. And not a final approval.
I mean, based on the projection of the revenue, it'll still, even with taking this out, the revenue will increase the balance, the fund balance. So I mean, I see where it's, very, very well, a good thing to get it done sooner, as long as we're not depleting the fund balance.
right,
It won't grow as fast.
right.
The only variable is that she doesn't have control over the transfer out that comes back to the general fund. And that's on, I'm not sure, I didn't to see behind me, I'm sorry if that was in your projections. So
It's there.
On your 256,
I just took what's
there this year?
Mhm.
Okay. So under your special funds tab is where this fund is located, is 13 of 74. And the county cost allocation from years prior states there was revenues that when funds like this, the use of the general funds services, that a fund like this will be cost allocated for revenues back to the general fund. So that it's just a small variable, but it's depending on the usage. So the more she records, the more that the 256 fund uses general fund functions, like the register of deeds, kind of like a big circle. But the highest it's been is 10.4, and right now it's projected at 9.7. So that would stay the course. That'd be under 10.
it's in there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody got any other questions?
Good.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay, thank you guys.
Appreciate the update and insight.
Yes, thank you.
How much do those books weigh?
That's how I get my weight in.
You're happy.
Where do you keep those books now?
They're in the vault. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, next up we have.
What that was. Oh.
All right, next up, we got Jennifer from MSU.
So it's the morning of Jennifer's, I guess.
Wrong with that.
Popular name in the 70s, right? I know Lauren has my presentation, so I'm assuming it's like magic. It just appears, right? There she goes.
Magic.
It is magic. Go ahead, Lauren, if you want to go to the next slide. So thank you all for having us here today. Again, I just kept my presentation in the high level just because I know, tried to keep it simple, just to kind of go through the basics. We're a different kind of a county department. And so I liken this to have us be a tool in your toolbox. So as a representative of Michigan State University Extension, it's our goal, if you want to go to the next slide, Lauren, to go ahead and be able to infuse educational resources into communities. And I wanted to just share a little history lesson about MSU Extension and how we're cooperatively funded. You hear me come and talk about return on investment each year during my annual report. You hear me talk about how we're leveraged as an organization, and why we're that way is back in 1914 with the passage of the Smith-Lever Act. The states and the federal government created the land grant university, which basically they gave land to Michigan State University as our land grant college, and that land then was utilized to create a university for the state. And in exchange for that land, the knowledge was, or the deal was, that we would in turn bring knowledge to everyone in the counties, that you didn't have to go to Michigan State University to participate in the knowledge repository of the university. And that's why we're present in every county in the 83. So I just always like to show you kind of how we're funded, so that the dollars that you're investing in us are leveraged. So we're kind of cost shared, if you will. So currently, as an organization, 14% of our overall budget is funded by counties, 31% by state. You see federal funding of 11%, 42%, as I always tell you each year, is our grant funds, and then 2% by MSU. So we're not funded by tuition dollars per se, but we do get a small portion of our budget from the university directly. So again, I just want to reemphasize that we're a highly leveraged cooperative partnership and our four-legged stool, and you all are valuable parts of that cooperative partnership. It allows us to do education right here in the county, as you see each year when I do my annual report. Our mission is to bring the knowledge of the university to the people so that they can make decisions, critical decisions that face their life. So we're bringing that knowledge back to them to make important decisions that improve their family or their business or their community's well-being. Next slide, please, Lauren.
Jennifer?
Yes.
You don't have fees listed there, but some of your services are fee-based.
Right.
Is that 2% from MSU?
So the fees that we charge for our programs go back to the overall cost, and yes, that would be kind of reflective of that. So some of our like new commissioner school fees, those kinds of examples, those are, we try to break even on all of those fees. So we're just charging the room costs, we're charging the material print, we're charging the fees for staff to potentially travel from across the state. So we try to do our cost recovery as a break even model. Any fees that are associated with 4-H typically are reinvested back into scholarships for youth as well, or if there's any fees for them attending like 4-H exploration days, there's obviously dorm fees that we have to pay and that kind of minutia. But yes, so those programmatic fees are entirely driven just to break even. So again, I just wanted to remind you that we're the land grant arm of the university, and I'm partnering with counties for over 125 years. So I'm always proud of that. I went to a media training this week and they talked about, you know, it was last week rather, and they talked about that sometimes that's a turnoff maybe to some of the younger generation, but I feel that an organization that's been embedded in communities for over 125 years is adding value to that community, and it's creating a presence that's needed. So again, just bringing those university resources to residents in partnership with Leelanau County. And I just have our impacts from our last report that I was obviously here in August that I presented. So you can see kind of some of the impacts that we had locally here in Leelanau County. Just as a reminder, that's 234 unique programs accessed by your residents, which is like the equivalent of us doing a program in this space every other day. So again, it's individuals accessing our program either online, it can be a video, it could be an in-person event, it could be streaming some sort of podcast that one of our staff have done. It could be just them watching it from their
tractor on the farm when Nikki does her updates at the Hort station. So again, that's just a reminder. We reached 4,708 residents directly through programming that we collected their county of residence and their demographic information. And then our 2 social media pages, again, sharing vital information that way, about almost 76,000 unique page views. Those are not residents, but unique page views, individuals accessing that Leelanau County 4-H or MSU extension page. Next slide, please, Lauren. So I just tried to present, I didn't present copies. I feel kind of not as prepared as Jennifer, but mine is just a pretty high cursory view. I do know all of your materials for our budget request are in there. And so our total MSU extension budget request is around 312,000, which represents 1.7% of your total budget. So I just kind of wanted to share that and put that in perspective, that we're a really small slice of your overall total budget. And that's because of the leveraging piece that you've got here. You know, we've got all those other points of entry from funding. And so basically through our budget request, we ask for what we need to operate within this county. So I like to just highlight some of the things that is our budgetary practices for me as kind of the department head. I feel that we're a high impact, low cost county department. And typically the way I operate my budgets through my county relationships is we just ask for what we need to operate. We don't ask for anything more. We utilize some of our other grants and services and cost fee situations to get some of the extras that we need. So what we have in our budget is what we need to operate. It includes our 1.5 FTE county paid support staff. It includes the cost for MSU extension services, and it costs the overall, and includes the cost to run the overall office. So that's what we need. And we, like I said, we only typically ask for what we need and we only spend what we need. So if there's any funds that are remaining, we just don't spend it down. We just kind of let that go back to the county. So I just want to let you know, you've seen me long enough to know that I'm a person of my word, and that's typically how we operate our budget within the office. And I do want to just also recognize at this particular point as well that, you know, I know you all have to make difficult decisions about county budgets every day, and we're always grateful to be included in this county and to be so well supported by you. Next slide, please. And if you have any questions at all, just kind of shout it out. Yes, hi.
How does the 2026 request compare to 2025? I don't have it here.
Sure. So it just reflects like a 3% increase for our MSU costs, which typically our budgetary costs usually always exceed 3% just from all the benefits increase that I know you all struggle with each year as well. So that's just the only cost. And then any other costs that are associated with increased personnel costs by your employees. Again, we've kept all of our other budgetary line items flat or reduced them where we could based on spending patterns. I always look and say, okay, like we're obviously sending out more information via email. So do we really need X, Y, and Z in the budget? So I always look at what we've spent historically for 2025 and formulation of the 2026 budget and look for other cost cutting mechanisms as well.
Do you expect to receive the 11% federal money?
Yes, right now that was kind of on the bubble a couple of months ago, but one of our directors indicated at our last budgetary call that yes, that is expected, and that was kind of something that was still maintained. Thank you.
Did cut 100 and some SNAP workers.
Yes, we did. And so our SNAP Ed program that I alluded to when I was here for my annual report. So all those employees, their last day is actually today. So for our SNAP educators, so we no longer will be able to be right now providing nutrition education to food insecure audiences in Leelanau County. Jane Rappin was the representative to this county. She worked with Leelanau Christian Neighbors through her preschool to backpack program, and she did education at Benogen Center and that also at Northport schools as well. So.
You can see the expense budget is on page 82 of 83. And the 2025 amended budget is $301,002.
Resource management and development. Yeah, 62.
Thanks, Jim, for knowing where everything is.
And the department request for this year is $312,000. And almost all of that is reflected in about a $4,000 increase in contractual services and about just a little $6,500 increase in salaries, which reflects our
And I just like to highlight, given the fact that I feel like we're an impactful organization, I've just got a few slides here from our last annual report that I know you all spent time listening to me back in August, so I don't want to rehash that report, but I feel like our impacts speak a lot to our dedication and our work that we do in Leelanau County. And I always encourage you to say, hey, Jen, there's more that you can do for us. When my husband and I travel, if we go to like an all-inclusive of some sort, he always says, I always want to eat the most so I get my money's worth. But I simply tell you kind of something similar, that if there's more that you want us to do for you, please reach out. Ty, I know I hear from you. Obviously, Jim knows how to reach me as well. So if there's something specific and you say, hey, Jen, is there any knowledge at the university in X, Y, or Z? That is my job to bring that to you. And that's the knowledge repository that through your participation with MSU Extension that you get full access to. I know a long time ago that this board was looking at, obviously the septic ordinance. And so I had invited Dr. Rose, who's the leading expert on septics within the state of Michigan, came up and gave a presentation to this board. And that was as a direct request from, or me actually listening to kind of department head meetings. And then I mentioned to Chet and I'm like, is this something the board might be interested in? And he floated the idea and they said yes. So again, that's just another example of how we can give you more than maybe what we're doing now, but you just need to reach out and knock on my door and say, hey, Jen. So again, we can go through some of these slides a little quickly, but I just wanted to reference obviously our product center impacts, which is obviously growing local businesses here in Leelanau County. Just a reminder, we help those food-based businesses come from idea to marketplace. And so we had increased sales. We worked with 19 Leelanau County businesses, which represented a $30 million in annual sales from those businesses. So again, we gave them the tools they needed to help them navigate those challenges to help grow their businesses here in Leelanau County. And then obviously the work that we do with our farm business management is important as well. Next slide, please, Lauren. This is just referencing some of our food work that we did through Jane's work with food insecure audiences, helping local preschool families get access to foods and healthy recipes to make meals as families. Next slide, please. Again, our agritourism summit work. I was recently asked by the director of extension, what is the #1 challenge that you feel is the challenge within my 6 counties? And I think it's agriculture profitability and sustainability. So again, continuing this summit as part of my personal organizational effort is important to me. And so we're kicking off our 2026 summit that will occur in May of 2026. But we were very excited to feature Leelanau County as a predominant site during our farm market tours last year during our 2024 summit. Again, giving your local agriculture more tools in their toolbox to retain their profitability so that those farms can continue in perpetuity and we can all enjoy the beauty in Leelanau County. Next slide, please. Obviously, you've heard me talk about you having probably the strongest and most robust 4-H program in all of my 6 counties. And that's a testament, a large part, to the support given by this board so that we have our full-time 4-H program coordinator. Again, we have Danny Schaub at the lead now. He's just really doing great things every day and continuing the mission that we have in Leelanau County, is that there's something for every youth in Leelanau County in 4-H. And so again, just some pictures and just a memory of our annual report that we did. And I think that might be our last slide. Yeah. So any questions for me? Again, just try to keep it high level. I'm sorry, I don't have any cool examples of archival books. So yes.
Contractual services, you're contracting folks in the community to provide services?
No, this is the cost for MSU Extension services. So this is our cost, and our costs include our full, yes, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I interrupted you.
No,
please.
No, it includes our full-time 4-H costs, plus it also includes our master gardener and home horticulture educator, Dr. Nate Walton, because that's something that Leelanau County felt strongly about, was to have that kind of increased presence in this county, given kind of some of the support that you've previously done. So again, just that's what that costs for MSU Extension Services. It includes the access to all the university repository. It includes all the staff that do the work across the state. So it could be someone in Wayne County that has an expertise that you need that we would potentially bring in or teach a class up here. Like when Mary Riley comes up and does work with planning and zoning, that would be an example of that knowledge repository. Even though they're not housed here, you still have access to that staff person from across the state.
So it provides access to a statewide staff of varying
Expertise,
expertise.
exactly.
And your relationship to the Hort Center?
So my relationship, Nikki Rothwell is the station director, so I don't provide oversight, but I do provide like a dotted line supervision. I do contribute to like Nikki's annual performance review as well as the staff performance review there. I don't oversee it because she's the station director, but we, MSU Extension and Ag Bio Research, work together in partnership. Ag Bio Research is the arm or the research arm of the university, and Extension is the education arm. So we work in concert. So the research that's done on the farm is then translated by our staff to do the education and outreach and extension.
This budget we have in front of us does not,
No,
they're completely separate.
they're completely separate. They are funded by Ag Bio Research and Michigan State University. So just a reminder about that, that's just another added value into this county. Not every county has a Ag Bio Research or research facility. That's grower owned and then MSU managed. So it's funded entirely by Michigan State University, grants and contracts as well, but it's the farm itself is grower owned.
And it is a, if you will, a complicated relationship, given the varying members. You refer to yourself as a department head, a county department head, or how?
So I would be the official representative to like the county as our official department head, even though I'm not an employee of you. Like the administrators have always treated me as the de facto department head for Michigan State University, our office here in Leelanau County.
Jennifer attends all of our department head meetings on a regular basis, and I consult with her anytime there's an issue that arises. If you're lucky, you'll get invited to one of the top lunches.
Which the door is
Highly
open for any
recommended.
commissioner.
Highly recommend.
Yes.
Thank you.
When you leave here today, your master gardeners are out there again.
Yes,
Tell them thank you.
I will. I try to time that, Ty. So I try to come when they're up here because without their help, it's just, they keep such a pretty garden. So
When you say you're grant funded, where do the grants come from generally?
So a variety of sources. So they could be state grants, they could be federal grants, both and could be local grants as well. So it's just a variety of grants that fund our organization. So we're very entrepreneurial because we recognize that our programmatic growth is going to occur largely from external sources of money. There's just a finite amount of money that's spread between state, federal, and county resources, and we want to become that added value. So it's like finding the right match with a grant that might potentially fund, like that's how we started Farm Stress, was from a USDA federally funded grant. So that was kind of an organizational mission, recognizing that farmers are experiencing the highest rates of suicide by employment sector. So given that, we sought out a grant in partnership with our USDA and Michigan ag partners as well, and then got that grant, and that's what funded our initial start into Farm Stress. So we recognize the need, potentially find a grant, and then leverage the existing resources we have to be able to bring more tools to the toolboxes of all of our county partners.
And when you talk about experts, is Rob still considered the one for what?
Hops.
Yes.
Yes,
for
sir.
hops.
Yes,
And
sir.
so if there is a seminar on hops, he goes to it wherever it is in the state.
Yes, or in the nation as well. So yes,
Or the world for that.
or the world. Yes, Rob's quite the expert on Michigan hop. He is the expert on Michigan hops for sure. And I just want to always say, I know, oh, go ahead, Commissioner.
So just to help clarify what you started. So your office is in Traverse, right?
Yes,
So how many counties do you cover?
I work with 6 counties. Yeah, I typically am out here, 3 to 4 times a month for sure. It's just an easy drive up here, and there's a lot of community meetings I attend. I regularly attend the obviously department head meeting. We have a monthly staff meeting. There's intermittent other community meetings that I will attend just to see what additional value we can add within that community partnership. But I did what?
It's gonna be easier to get.
With the roundabout, it was a little easier today, but then there's this other little construction that delayed me. So, but it is the nature of the beast right now. But I did want to say, and I know, Steve, when you came and visit our office, as well as Administrator Dyer, our staff in our Leelanau County are probably some of the most highly qualified individuals across the whole state. I would say they're the exception and not the norm to their credentialing needed to do their job. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to our local team as far as being, you've got three PhDs in your office. We have a master's credentialed program coordinator for our Forge program as well. And then obviously, Dr. Chris Bardenhagen also has his law degree and his Juris Doctorate and has actively practicing law through that work that he does. So that, again, that's an added value to the folks in your county, that they have not only this individual that understands agriculture profitability, but he can also look at the legal side of it to help them navigate that as well. So again, I just want to give a shout out that your local team, in addition to the whole staff across the rest of the state, are very credentialed and very qualified people. So I always like to brag about the team. I think I have a great team up here for sure.
One more thing,
Yes.
it's not budget related, but I'm hoping for your office here very shortly, we'll have an answer on your bulletin board.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the bulletin board I know I know it's sometimes things seem to take a bit of time, and I recognize that, you know, the wheels of government needs to do what it does, but thank you. We just want to make sure that as individuals come to our door that they can actively see some of the programs that we're doing, but thank you. We will work within your time structure for sure. Thank you. Anything else for me?
Questions? On behalf of Commissioner Robin, I just want to say go green.
Go white. And again, I just want to thank you for investing in us as an organization, allowing us to do the good work that we believe we do in Leelanau County. And again, thank you for your time. And my door is always open, so reach out to add more to your toolbox. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Continuing on the agenda, staying ahead of schedule. Next up, we have probate and family court.
Before the judge gets started, I just want to give you an observation. I've only seen 2 presentations this morning, but my God, the people who work here are really passionate about the jobs they do, aren't they? I mean, I've worked in 3 different counties, and I tell you, it's not like that everywhere. It really isn't. It's pretty unique.
Okay, good morning. Thank you for your time today. I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the details of our budget. I will be referring to our 2026 budgetary worksheet at points today. Our court has 2 hourly employees. That's a juvenile register and a deputy probate register. We are budgeting each of these positions at a 40-hour week. That would be an increase from the current 35-hour week. The rationale for that is we need to reduce the need to potentially hire additional workers. Our juvenile caseloads have increased by about 37%. Our probate caseloads have also increased. My probate court register, Chris Mattis, is here and seated to my right. She'll be able to provide some additional details regarding the increase in volumes in our probate court. Our registers are responsible for clerical processing of this volume of cases. And as you might imagine, there are strict deadlines attached by the state of Michigan to their work. Our hourly workers need more time than the current 35-hour schedule will allow. That's the rationale for increasing their hours to 40 per week for the 2 hourly employees. Additionally, not including myself, we have 6 salaried FLSA exempt employees. That includes Cameron Clark, our family court administrator, who is present and seated to my left, who will also speak today. Our probate register, who I've mentioned. In addition, we have 4 juvenile caseworkers. We are budgeting wage increases for each of these individuals. For our 4 juvenile caseworkers, we are budgeting wage increases from $70,434 to $77,000. And I can repeat that if anybody needs it.
I do.
For the 4 juvenile caseworkers, we are budgeting wage increases from 70,434 to 77,000. For our family court administrator, we are budgeting a wage increase from 83,386 to 91,000.
And which worker was that?
That is for our family court administrator.
That would be Ken.
Correct. For our probate register, Chris Mattis, we are budgeting a wage increase from 77,818 to 91,000.
Judge, tell me the process you use the court sets your own salary figures, I assume.
Certainly.
How does that match with other county staff and how we do? We typically, every county staff member this year got 3%, I guess. Increase. Do you take that into account? How do you set these rates? Is that just something you do?
So I'm taking into account in part the cost of living for Leelanau County. Certainly, it's cost prohibitive for any of these employees to reside in Leelanau County. And the majority of these salaried employees are driving over an hour each day to get to work and then over an hour back home. I understand the size of Leelanau County makes it somewhat unique. Certainly, when you compare the size of Leelanau County and its high cost of living, frankly, Commissioner Wessel, it's difficult to find an exact comp. And I would imagine all of our commissioners are aware of the difficulties in finding a comp to Leelanau County. Obviously, a larger county like Grand Traverse County, where I came from after working there for 5 years, their family court administrator makes well in excess of 105,000. And I think that's actually quite conservative. But again, I understand that's a larger county. This is a smaller county, but at the same time, if you want to retain talent and if you want to attract talent, you got to pay for it. And I would imagine you're all familiar with the staff at our court. Many of them have been there for decades. And so, and again, there's been an increase in caseloads, and this is hopefully an attempt to avoid having to do an additional hire. So essentially, and I guess I didn't really mean to jump into this, but all of these salaried employees are working well in excess of 40 hours a week, well in excess. That's not even a question. I've got my probate register meeting me here at the building after hours when we have a mental health emergency. And that's happened multiple times this summer. This is a 24/7 operation at the court. And the reality is that to think about these salaried employees in terms of how many hours a week they're working just grossly misrepresents the nature of the job. But I don't want to scare the board with these figures, because the court has a unique feature in its budget, and I'll get to that if I've adequately answered your question for now, Commissioner Wessel.
Sure.
Okay. Back to the numbers. Okay. The total proposed salaried wage increases are $47,060. Of that amount, $28,796 would be reimbursed to the county by the state of Michigan through the Child Care Fund. And I would just like to note that the raises that I have budgeted have actually already been taken into account in the 2026 Child Care Fund budget, which has actually been approved by the board. Now, therefore, the effective total proposed salaried wage increase, if you take into account the reimbursement by the state of Michigan, the total effective proposed salaried wage increase, this is your bottom line number, is 18,264. Now, I have identified offsets, which would actually more than compensate for this increase. If, and I will refer to the 2026 budgetary worksheet. It's on the first page, part of the general fund portion. Account number 325132-727. And if anybody needs anything repeated, please let me know.
Just let me get there, please.
Commissioner Bunnick.
Yeah, I was just wondering, okay, if I look at that, this is a 9%, at least a 9 and a little bit more increase. Does this include MERS, Social Security, and Medicare when you talk about these numbers?
It does not.
The county's gonna pay?
It does not.
So you're just giving us the raw numbers that you have that you will see, but it's actually gonna cost more than what you're saying.
That is correct.
And inflation is probably at about a 3% rate, actually it's below 3%.
If you believe the CPI.
Right. So even if it's a little bit more, you're still 3 times over that, more than 3 times is what you're talking about as an increase.
Commissioner Buddick, we have experienced a massive increase in inflation over the past 5 years. And frankly, I don't think CPI as measured captures obviously things like some of the food expenses, you just go to the grocery store. So I do see your point, but I believe we're in a K-shaped economy. And I think maybe the stock market's doing great. I think if you own assets, if you own land, everything's going up. But the salaried staff, and that probably goes for most of the workers in this building, I think are probably on the bottom portion of that K. And I think they're getting crushed by inflation. And so that's part of the impetus of my proposed wage increase.
Can I also, what was the wage increase last year?
I'll be candid. I'm new in this position, so I do not know. I would, I guess, maybe rely on Mr. Clark to provide that information.
And can I ask one more question? Because you're going to.
Commissioner Campbell.
You said that we had already approved. I didn't quite understand what you're saying there. These were already in a budget. Did you mean in our 26 proposed budget?
That is correct.
Okay, so
Yes.
we haven't approved anything.
Yeah,
That is correct.
Child Care Fund.
Oh,
Well, that's true. So actually, yes. So the 2026 Child Care Fund budget has been approved. And that budget was actually based on the proposed raises that I'm discussing today. And Mr. Clark, can you elaborate on that?
But we didn't know those raises were in there when we approved it. I think this is the first time we've become aware of it. Am I correct on that? I never heard them before, so they were caked in, boiled in, but this is the first time we're dealing.
Very good.
I
Very good.
didn't think I missed that before. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Clerk Sawicki raised your hand.
Oh,
That's okay. I just wanted clarification. So let me just understand myself. I just want to make for my notes. The people that were 35 hours are now going to 40 effective 1/1/26 that are not part of the child care fund. So Chris Matta, just the clerks are going to 40, that's right.
So I have just the 2 hourly workers, the juvenile register
Okay.
and the deputy probate register. We've budgeted for each of those positions to go to 40 hours per week, effective 1/1/26.
That's what I missed.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Now, and I'll take additional questions, but I just did want to point out For account number 325-132-727, that was budgeted for $8,500 for office supplies. That could certainly be reduced. It looks like in prior years, maybe the high amount was 3,300. Certainly that account could be reduced, I would imagine, to 3,000. It's a fairly substantial reduction. Account number 325-132-801 is contractual services. That was budgeted for 19,000. That could be reduced to 0 because I believe that amount was previously required to be paid to the state of Michigan for a program called Judicial Information Services. That's a centralized database through the state of Michigan that they used to charge the counties for, which they no longer will. So there are areas that can be cut, is my point, from this 2026 budget that would more than make up for the total effective proposed salaried wage increase. Understanding your point, Commissioner Bunnick, that it doesn't take into account the additional expenses. I do understand your point on that.
I
Yes.
think that's wise.
Uh,
Sure that you can retain your people for the work they do. And you've got the money here
Well,
to make that up.
again, Commissioner Allgaier, and to all of you, I am not trying to be an unwise steward of finances, but I believe it's absolutely crucial that our courts are adequately funded. And again, you've got long-term employees, crucial employees to this operation that are driving far distances. I just filled up my tank this week and it cost me $3.45 at a gallon. We don't even blink an eye at that anymore. I mean, inflation is raging. And these folks can't afford to live in this county. I know I've got, one juvenile probation officer who grew up in Leelanau, luckily, and is able to remain here. This is about attracting and retaining talent. And it's a return on investment. Okay, so if you look at our juvenile probation officers, their job is to go out into the community and work with youth to make sure that they're not going totally off the rails. And we know they're successful because if you look in our budget, we've actually budgeted very, very little for out-of-home placement. And that it could potentially be an absolute nightmare scenario for this county. If you have to send a juvenile into a out-of-home placement, it can cost upwards of $900 a day. In Grand Traverse County, they've got some juveniles they have to send out of state because they can't find a place in Michigan. That's the worst case scenario that we are avoiding because we've got great juvenile probation officers, and it's absolutely crucial to our operation. And it's a huge money saver to our county to make sure that they are recognized and compensated in return for the services, which again, they're working well over 40 hours a week. They're going out in the evenings, going out to homes when they get calls, and they do get calls about something going wrong with these families they're working with. And that's the reality of this office and these positions. So, yes.
And I don't think anybody here would think that your people don't deserve it, but we've got to hold on to their staff. And everybody that works for this county is doing extra. And everybody that works in this county is facing the same high cost. And so our concern, I think, is everybody and the total
Absolutely.
budget. And I don't think we could afford to give everybody a 9% increase. And I think that's why we raised the question.
And I certainly don't mean to get on a soapbox. I would just, again, emphasize the point that there is a unique feature of this court's budget regarding the reimbursement through the child care fund, which again creates a total effective proposed salary wage increase that is actually far less than the total nominal amount prior to the reimbursement. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, yes, Commissioner Bunnick.
Yeah, well, you talked about juveniles are going out and they're doing all this, but you also said that there's a 37% increase. So I just wondered, so we're seeing an increase in juvenile delinquency or, but you're actually keeping them here in the county, not sending them out. But the two seem, luckily I say we don't, but it also is an increase. What do you attribute that?
So well, I don't think we've touched on this yet, but I think the increase is attributable to our truancy policy. So Mr. Clark has collaborated. I think we might have touched on this with our introductory remarks. So I am seeing a large amount of incorrigibility petitions, which are related to truancy. These are youth who are not listening to their teachers, not listening to their parents. I rarely saw incorrigibility petitions in Grand Traverse County. I rarely saw truancy petitions. We're getting them here. I don't think it's a bad thing because it gets these youth with our workers and hopefully gets them on the right track so things don't spiral out of control, which is when you get those out-of-home placements that really we are trying to avoid. So, okay.
I hate to.
Yes, Commissioner Campbell.
Yes, you had talked about out of work calls, and I just, something in the back of my mind says that we had some kind of a policy change a year ago or something. We talked about it. Does that make any sense to you?
Unfortunately, I do not know what happened last year.
Well, I may be.
That was for the intervention, John and that.
I'm not sure what you're.
I think he's, are you
Yeah,
referring
don't
to that,
help me.
that you were paying overtime? You did an
Okay.
additional
Oh,
budget. Yeah, where you hadn't been in the past, I believe, right?
We had debated whether the county wanted to provide on-call stipends for people who were on call 24/7, and the board didn't want to go that direction. They wanted to instead pay overtime. Maybe that's what you're referring to?
I remember it was like approved, then we kind of had to go back and reword it. So, and what is the policy now on those calls? Is it overtime?
It's overtime.
Okay, so they are being compensated for those extra calls.
But
I think, that's.
Commissioner Campbell, those employees are now FLSA exempt. So starting 1/1/26, overtime is gone for them.
Why is that? National change?
He's moving them from hourly to salary on effective 1/1. Is that right, Kim? Did I get that
That's
right?
correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure the message.
Oh, okay.
So I clarified that the hourly, we're going from 35 to 40. And then on the other side of that message is that the other hourlies that are the probate officers and juvenile diversions are then going to salary on 1/1 at the amount that he spoke.
Okay.
Is what his
That's in the.
Yeah, correct?
Distinction is not between salary and hourly. The distinction is whether or not you're exempt from the Fair Labor Standards Act requirement to pay overtime. You have to meet certain qualifications of the job. You can pay anybody, you can pay a non-exempt worker by salary, but they're entitled to overtime. Doesn't matter whether they're hourly or salary. In these cases, the individuals that the judge is talking about meet a qualification that makes them exempt. They probably should have been exempt from the beginning, but they were not properly categorized as exempt by HR at the time when that exemption, when that job description was originally created. They were made as non-exempt hourly. So the overtime is going away
It's going away.
for those four employees. For those four employees.
Commissioner Robbins?
You said there's been an increase. You're probably aware that the sheriff's asking for a school resource. Is that gonna probably increase it more, or how do you feel about that?
I'm completely in favor of a school resource officer. I don't know if you know, but in a former life, I was a teacher. And the school where I taught at had its own dedicated school resource officer. And it was just an amazing experience, I thought, for our students to form a positive relationship with law enforcement. And I know that Sheriff Borkovich's proposal would have a one resource officer rotating amongst multiple schools. But I think it's a great start.
So the complaints could go down.
They're liable to go up, actually, but that's not a bad
At some
thing.
point, it could take.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, because those resource officers will be seeing issues that youth have at the get-go, right? Instead of after they boiled over.
Yeah.
And we have a lot more success based, when we get with kids when they're 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, we have a higher degree of success than when they're 16, 17, or, when the issues have boiled over for a number of years. We prefer to get kids when they're just starting to show symptoms of some dysfunction.
And I think when you mentioned it, Truett, that's kind of new up here, isn't it?
It's unique to Leelanau County as far as the
And when you
coordination.
mentioned Grand Traverse, I remember 30 years ago when we started that, our numbers really were high, and then I think the parents finally understood that we were serious and then it tapered off. And I think that's what we're gonna see up here too. At some point, the parents are gonna realize you guys are serious and get their kids to school.
Yeah.
I just have to add that if you had a new meeting, then you pay for gas.
It's a very good point, Commissioner Allgaier. Thank you. All right, so I've gone on too long. I just wanted to turn this over to Ms. Mattis, our probate registrar, to fill in any blanks that I might have missed. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Good morning.
So that probator, we all dying faster than Getting
There
old.
has been an increase. Yeah.
No.
Thank you.
No, that's the
No?
second page. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Look like the Okay.
So my name is Chris Mattis. I've been your probate registrar for almost 6 years now. I came from Grand Traverse County Probate, and prior to that, I was a paralegal. We handle all of the county's decedents' estates, trust matters, wills, even civil matters, conservatorships, guardianships of all kinds, involuntary mental health matters, and other miscellaneous matters. I have never seen an increase in emergencies or demands on the probate court as much as we have now. I'm taking emergency phone calls at all hours on a regular basis. That includes in the middle of the night, whether it's midnight or 5 a.m., having to take phone calls, typically mental health emergencies. It is only 2 of us in probate court. It's actually myself and our deputy probate registrar, Sage Merdeza. She's been with us for almost 3 years. This spring, I believe it'll be 3 years. She's a wonderful asset. She came from Grand Traverse Probate also. We're only 3/4 of the way through the year. We have a quarter yet to go. I've provided each of you with a bar graph, 2 pages, comparing this year's caseload to date to last year's full caseload, and with a trajectory of the end of this year. And as you can see, there's been a significant caseload increase from last year. You know, in many of these categories, if you look at these, our court has already surpassed what we have done last year in 2024.
I'm looking at the numbers and
Yeah,
it's really depressing.
yeah,
To see a 50% increase in guardianships for minor,
yeah,
150% increase in mental health involuntary commitments.
right.
Are we doing a better job of reaching out to people, or are we in worse shape?
Well, we are handling things as they come to us. So I'm not sure if the caseload increase is due to the, you know, population growth. However, emergencies, even a year ago, were, you know, weren't every week. Now it's pretty much typically a weekly thing.
I mean, if I don't mean to butt in, but one of the issues is that, I mean, we've experienced problems where you have, you know, you have maybe even the same individual that is being taken in for assessment multiple times, but then turned loose, maybe under circumstances where that should not be happening.
Yeah.
Ms. Mattis, I'm
So,
sorry.
No, thank you. So we are dealing with where they are taken, they're picked up, transported by law enforcement to our hospital, Munson. And they're there for an evaluation. Sometimes they are released, quite frequently. Sometimes they shouldn't be released. There is, if you look at the graph, that's on the first page on the very right, that would be transport, export, examination only. Next to that, we have mental illness treatment involuntary. Those are the cases that proceed. So, you know, the court is involved with their mental health treatment and care. Thank you. And can I mention one other thing? When I was hired on in 2019, I was an hourly worker, 35 hours a week. However, I've never taken any overtime or anything like that. When I went to salary, I still put, you know, I still have a 70-hour to, you know, 35 hours a week, even though I'm working well in excess, you know, of all of that.
Mr. Clark?
What do you want to know? You know, I'm in charge of the child care fund, so, and the 4 caseworkers that do all the heavy lifting. You know, I have a fascinating job. No 2 days are alike, and it's something I'm real passionate about, and I love to talk about it. But I know you have to go to a meeting later on today, so ask your questions quick, and I'll give you quick responses if you like.
What is the increase attributed to? I mean, I've read some things about kids having phones and scrolling through them constantly, and that's causing them to be anxious and
it is multifaceted. The reason that we're businesses up, and a lot of it has to do with, again, mental health of kids has probably never been worse in our country. And a lot of it has to do with social media, that they're just inundated 24/7. You know, the kids are up at 3 o'clock in the morning looking at their Facebook page to see what kids are talking about. You know, they might be talking about them, they might be bullying them. So depression and anxiety among teens is just rampant. It's at a fever pitch. And because of that, kids behave differently. They, you know, when you're under stress like these kids are for a prolonged period of time, that kind of trauma can actually change the way your brain's wired. And that's not good. That is not good. That's dangerous. And, you know, I've done a lot of work with trauma and studying trauma on, you know, its impact on youth. And it's devastating. And so, a lot of the work that our caseworkers do is trying to, first of all, stop the bleeding, that rewiring that's taking place, and begin to create, I don't want to get too technical, but they're trying to create new neurological pathways for these kids so that they think differently, that they think better. It's cognitive behavioral therapy that our people are doing. And it is tried and true in terms of recidivism rates and those types of things. Kids that go through cognitive behavioral therapy are just mentally healthier. Did I answer your question?
Well, yeah, because that's what I've read about social media is it's that, they're just traumatized.
They're inundated.
Yeah, and I've noticed that some states have actually outlawed phones in schools.
Yeah. And there's parenting, there's a component of parenting, you're out in the community, you go to a park and their kids are playing and the mom or the dad is on the park bench looking at their phone, right? So they get their kid a babysitter, which is a tablet or a telephone or something like that. To answer your question, we would have to have a symposium. But those are some of the things that are hot, right? Yeah. COVID didn't help. COVID created just, you may have seen in the last week or so, there was reading and math scores for the state of Michigan. And they tested 8th graders and seniors, last year's class. And they found that they were well below grade level in those two subject areas, reading and math. Well, if you ask anybody in the mental health business, they'll tell you that those seniors still behave a great deal like 8th graders, because when COVID hit, they got stuck. They got stuck. They did not continue to grow and mature in a normal pace. Being socially isolated did not help these kids mature. So as they become seniors and they become freshmen in college, they still look a lot like freshmen in high school, emotionally and psychologically.
Right, but it wasn't COVID that did it, it was how we handled it.
Well, whatever, but it was a big deal, right?
Yeah, but the Great Barrington Declaration told us how to, but we refused to listen to that.
I know, all right.
Robbins.
There's been some discussion, I've heard that you may be heading towards doing your own transports, that maybe a patrol car will be issued to you guys. I was just wondering, how are you staffed and do you feel comfortable with that?
So the judge and I met with the sheriff and the undersheriff about a week ago. And because we had a situation on a Friday night, which is when they always occurred who a young man who needed to be picked up and detained. And it's always awkward because law enforcement is already short-staffed, usually almost always short-staffed, and they have to call people in to do overtime, and it's a big rigmarole to get a kid from point A to point B. So we met on that subject, and the idea did come up that, well, every spring the sheriff's department has a few vehicles that they put up for, I don't know if it's auction or they just sell them. And my response was, my God, why didn't we think of this years ago? Because this has been a problem forever. So we intended next spring to come to the board with a proposal to purchase one of those vehicles at whatever the rate is. And then use retired law enforcement or retired military personnel who are trained to transport those kids in a safe fashion. Having our caseworkers put these kids in their personal cars, you're asking for a lawsuit that you don't want to, kid jumps out of that car, the county's in trouble. That's not a solution.
The type of offenders, juvenile offenders who require that kind of emergency response, I mean, in my experience, it was more common in Grand Traverse County, but from what I'm hearing, it's starting to unfortunately become more common even here in Leelanau. So I don't know what's happening with that.
It's not truants.
Yeah,
These are violent acts.
Is if the sheriff department or sheriff office couldn't supply the manpower, how's it gonna, are you guys gonna be able to, find the personnel to?
Yeah. They gave me a bunch of names already of people who would be jumping on this. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Mr. Campbell,
I was trying to look at the overall dynamics that you're dealing with. And I think I know you're getting more cases per individual, per kid that we have here in Leelanau County, but we got fewer kids. And I'm kind of hearing that even though we have fewer kids, that higher percentage of involvement needed with those kids is beyond the reduced population of kids.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, you'd think you
Yeah.
have a declining budget because we got fewer kids.
Right, yeah.
I mean, all
For
things
sure.
even.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't make this stuff up. I mean, we actively seek out diversionary kids who can be on a diversionary program. In other words, we speak to the schools a lot and we ask them, tell us who is getting to show issues early on so that we can get into those kids' lives and stop the bleeding before they are, out of control. And so our diversion program is very, very effective, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But when we talk about increases, I'm actually talking about formal petitions that we're getting from the prosecutor's office. Okay, this is not diversionary type stuff. We had a 37% increase from last year to this year in actual petitions and kids that we've serviced on a more formal basis.
Well, and maybe you just answered it because I was hypothesizing that some of your increase in numbers was due to the very fine and talented staff that you have. That it's something, your diversion program, something the kids from the schools want to be about then. Because it gives them a place to have colleagues and you've got a staff that entertains them and helps them and cares about them. I was at a graduation of a student last spring and there was John Boonstra, and I suppose he did that with all of his seniors that were graduating. But these numbers then are the ones, the numbers are the ones that the prosecutor's office.
Those darn prosecutors.
But maybe part of it is that they also have the same respect for your services and are more likely to refer them to you.
Maybe, yeah, possible.
How often do you help kids get into the LIFT program?
We work.
Is there an interplay?
Oh, yeah, and typically during the summertime, there's a lot of interplay in the summertime because we do some of the same types of activities. So we'll pair up with them sometimes and do things with those kids as well. But again, those are typically diversionary type of issues.
So given what's going on in social media, what's going on nationally, I think we have to understand that our kids are affected by all of that.
Well, until our leaders start behaving better. Did you see a post just from yesterday? If the kids didn't have to see that, it's our fault. I have a question. The circuit court was reorganized.
And you mean leaders all around the board?
Yeah,
Correct.
I'm not just talking about
Okay.
the one leader.
Thank you.
What's going on nationally is pretty upsetting.
Circuit court was reorganized, and I think it gave your office more work. The judges don't come out here or the district court.
So right now, I am not, I have yet to assume district court duties. I am certainly available to do that, and I would welcome being able to serve my county in that capacity. But that has not yet begun, so to be continued.
No impact on your budget.
As of right now, no impact.
Thank you for taking care of our kids.
Love it. Yeah, it's good stuff, man.
Everybody else.
I am really
did have
easily
to-
bored, so I need a job like this that keeps me hopping.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We had 2 crossover mental
Thank you very much.
health, cases that were
Yeah. we'll take a-
almost
we'll take a
18 this
5-minute break.
Cameron.
I need you to tell me that closer.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna, we had 2 cases.
Oh, I'm so much better. Yeah, I put 10 pounds back just in the last month. And I got 40. 10 of it back. I want about 5 more and then stop. I don't need to recover all 40 up there. That was. Oh, it was not the summer I had.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, when the last thing I can remember before we did the operating room was, we got a code blue. Yep.
So you know what, sorry, I had a granddaughter who was already an anxious shy girl.
Okay, yeah. Kyle
So
was on
she-
top.
So I think I've mentioned this. I moved. them
Yeah,
up
he
here
is, but it just depends on how much
the
stress
day
he's
she
got.
graduated and
Yeah.
immediately called
Yeah,
CMH.
and I'm
She
looking
was
from
upset.
Excel, and so then that's creating stress, yeah, because he keeps saying he doesn't
She
want to
did
be anymore.
counseling for a
He's
long
done.
time, but
She
she
tells
just
her,
went.
I'm just done. And so then that's
She
adding
was
stress, and
depressed
then
this
it's
summer.
just kind
She's
of
22.
culmination. Yeah.
And,
yeah, so, but otherwise, like, you
How do
wouldn't
you
know it,
guys- how do you
it's
phrase
it's an amazing thing, if you didn't see him
She
and
went,
have
I
a
said,
that
you
tired
have to go
meltdown
to
kind of
doctor.
thing, you wouldn't know that there
Back
was
on
anything.
antidepressants.
He can take you right to the parts, he can fix whatever you got, but it's just
Broke
that
down
person to
at the
person and then
doctor's
just an
office.
explosion.
And they just
It's
about committed.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often, like it was way in June, it was like consistent,
All
but
day
now
long.
it's.
Joe,
like a
how
certain
you
thing,
doing?
yeah, certain thing that just sets it off, right, so it's just a little, and it's really, it's the brain and the anxiety, I mean, it's. just
I
like-
actually
it's just-
don't know who put it
I
on.
know, but, I mean,
All
way
day long.
I'm like a son that wants to.
Marquetta
Oh, does he wanna buy a burger?
That's amazing. They can do it, with that kind of. It's come a long way. People are getting better and better at using
but then the people who work for him started that beacon,
It looks really good.
full of ads for just kicking butt.
$2 a copy though.
Yeah, but you know,
All right,
all right.
hold on, we're gonna get started. All right, next up, we got the prosecutor here. Got the floor, go for it.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to appear. We filed our budget. That there were, in terms of the revenue side, this is what we get from the state. In terms of the expense side, some of our expenses have gone up, obviously. Salaries just go up as every year, and we've also increased some requests for some education and training, some travel. I anticipate we're gonna need some of that in the future. We are going to we're gonna have some turnover in my office. And that's just the reality we're faced with. I looked at the job postings from the Prosecuting Attorneys Association of Michigan, and there are 29 postings. One's been there since February 4th, 2025. And I'm just making that comment. I think the reality we face, and I think you may have heard about it previously, is what we're gonna have to come to grips with. And it's just, it is what it is. So hopefully we'll be able to fill our position. And that's one of the reasons for my increase. Other than that, we've got a great staff up there. Everybody gets along well. They get the job done. I have no complaints. It's actually a really nice spot to work up there. But when we fill our positions, we want to make sure we got the right fit. It's very important we bring in somebody that's going to fit our philosophy, and so I'm pretty positive that's going to happen. But as we did before to attract our assistant prosecutor, I came before the board a couple of years ago and I said, I really got to bump up the salary to make it attractive, because previously he had worked in Kalkaska, had moved up from Muskegon. And when he saw the initial posting, it wasn't going to make sense, even though he was driving from Grand Traverse County all the way to Kalkaska. Well, fortunately, we're able to retain him. And I think he's been Dan Short. He's been a good fit. But yeah, when I graduated from law school, I had $25,000 in student loans for undergrad and law school. Now they're looking at hundreds of $50,000. So I don't know if you really want me to go on and on about that. Other than that, I guess I'm ready for any questions you may have. Yes.
I wanted to talk about FOIA. A year ago, we made some adjustments to FOIA. And how's that working? Is it
Really
able to handle?
really fantastic. Katie's done a wonderful job, and it's made my life so much easier, because we started doing FOIAs, I think, when I got here in 2004, and we may get a couple trickling in here, and now it's become a very busy office. And I appreciate it when I came to the board and said, I can't do this anymore. I need some help, and you responded, and it's worked out really well. I think she appears to be happy. She's busy. She's confident. She gets things done timely, and I don't really have any complaints. So I appreciate that. And that, that's the kind of corroboration that works for the county, when I can come forward and say, hey, I really need this help, and you respond, and I appreciate it. And I'm here to work with the board. We do have some challenges, but we're just gonna have to work through them. Rick?
I know I can look it up, but I was gonna ask you, what's the base pay for your lowest, not your chief, but entry level prosecutor?
Let's see. I have it right here. I just saw it. Let me give me a chance.
And out of 3%, it's 81,430. Yeah, it's one, it's just one, we changed it years ago to just one flat. There's no steps.
What about for chief?
chief prosecutor for, proposed without 3% is 98,153.
Okay, all right. A little higher, I thought.
Yeah, the assistant is 81,
I guess
430.
what I wanted to get across to the other board members here is, I deal with quite a few attorneys every day, 5 days a week. And so I talk to them, and the problem you're having in all these prosecutors, these kids coming out of law school are starting at 1:30. So, I mean, it's making it very difficult for you to, if we're paying those wages to recruit people.
Well, one advantage the government employers have is, and it's still in place, is if you work 10 years, a lot of your loan, and you're able to pay your loan on based on your income, and there's a forgiveness portion. And that's helpful. But the other thing we've seen too is with the MIDC funding, which as a prosecutor, I think the playing field should be level, and they gave the MDIC a lot more resources to file motions, to get experts, to do all sorts of stuff, and to increase their pay. We're losing prosecutors in other areas of the state. I think Grand Traverse, I don't want to speak for them, but other areas where young attorneys can go work on the defense contract and make more money.
Right.
So it's really a challenge. So you really got to find somebody that this is a job, this is a career they want, and they're willing to stick through it.
Are those programs still out there? If you work 10 years, your loans are paid, or?
For government employees, for I think healthcare, a lot of healthcare people. Yeah, I mean, because what happened is,
They were going away, but
so far so good. I mean, I don't know,
if we were to hire someone out of law school, that we could pay their student loans.
Well, we don't necessarily pay it. What they do is they pay a portion out of their whatever income they bring home. And then after 10 years, there's a forgiveness portion.
Then after 10 years is a debt relief
Yeah.
program.
For public service. And that's one of the carrots we have to attract people.
Debt relief is defined by what? They take all of it, half of it?
All of it,
Good.
all of it.
Okay.
But then somebody will have to say, well, if I'm making $80,000 a year for 10 years and I get this forgiven, whereas if I can make 160 immediately, I can pay this off quicker. So, everybody's doing the numbers in their head, and we're falling farther and farther behind. But as I say, it's so far so good for me. I've got good people to work for. I think I'm proud of the fact that I've never had to discharge anybody. Anybody that's left has left because of retirement. And now we may have somebody leave that just wants to go on and do something different. That's okay. But I'm proud of the environment I've created up there, and I tend to continue it.
So other than wages, what else would you need from us as a board?
Just to listen like you do. If I need something, I mean, I'm pretty confident with my budget. I think it's good. I didn't come here to ask for salary increases and stuff because I think it's a county problem across the board with all our employees. I mean, but when you have somebody that's got a law degree and they're making as much as maybe a probation officer or a little more, there's a disparity in what your education was and what the payback should be. That being said, I think we hear it from all departments. Both my assistants live in Grand Traverse County. I don't know if they're going to be one of them will be able to afford to move here or not. There's 2 prosecutor openings, one that's up in Leelanau County now because the prosecutor who was appointed up there because of a vacancy is now going down to Lake County near Baldwin. So yeah, it's just something that we're dealing with, but it's a nationwide thing. And I think we got to be prepared, this board in the county to really address what we're going to have to do to keep people. I mean, people are our best resource here.
So that's a concern I have is when I look at us as a county here with our legal field, your position in judge's field, I mean, you're starting to see like at circuit court, you're seeing people running unopposed.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie Hammond,
What concerns me is, you know, we're Leelanau County, we have a lot of attorneys here. Most of them are rich, retired, and then they become administrator. No, I'm joking. But no, I mean, who's gonna fill these positions like yours? I mean, if they don't live here, they can't run.
and if they can't afford to live here, they're gonna go somewhere else. So, yeah, it's just something we all gotta be aware of, and I know you're aware of, because every meeting you hear about it. It's no secret at all. But I think, again, the people that work in this county building are our best resources, and we gotta take care of them. Because otherwise, we're gonna lose we're gonna have a brain drain. So, again, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate I can come here and talk to you, and if I need something, I usually get what I need, and that's good. That's how government should work, in my mind.
Hey, raise my hand, yeah.
Right, Al.
You can't not do it. Oh, my God.
All right.
All right. But I do think that, that this county is well served by our long-serving, not just employees, but elected officials. I mean, we have a clerk who's been here a long time. We have a sheriff who's been here a long time. Are you tied? You're above, as far as years served, you're 4 years beyond this, Sheriff?
Probably 8.
8 years, yeah, and you are our longest serving prosecuting attorney ever. And our sheriff is, I think, soon to be the longest serving sheriff. And it was tough in the clerk division because of Dorothy, but I'm not sure who won that one. So anyways, we're very well served.
Yes, our register of deeds, our treasurer,
and
they're the longevity. So people realize, I mean, people recognize this is a good place to put roots down and raise your family and settle, but it has to be affordable.
Yes.
I mean, I moved from Grand Traverse County to Leelanau County in 1988, just because my wife, Amy, and I thought it was a good place to raise our children, and it has been.
Sure.
But that dream has fallen away from young couples. And it's sad to see.
So I was gonna stay on the positive side of that.
I'm sorry, Al.
I do have a question because, and not related to budget, but I never quite fully understood your relationship as far to the county board as far as non-prosecutorial issues. I know in the past issues, say open meetings acts, well, FOIAs all the time fall in your direction, and yet we have our own attorney. And so that's my question. We have our attorney, who I believe acts as kind of almost acts on our behalf. I'm not gonna call it and say it's a defense attorney, but he has the county's best interests in his mind. Are you more of an independent because you're in a separated office? Just if you could kind of explain that difference.
Well, the county has always had corporate counsel, and it's always been Cole Stoker. Efforts to substitute them have not been successful, and I'm not disparaging Cole Stoker. They represent a lot of counties all over the state. But periodically, I'll get a call maybe or an email from the Register of Deeds and say, hey, I got this goofy thing, what should I do? Or I may get a call from the treasurer. Sometimes even the clerk, not even the clerk, but periodically, because to call corporate counsel, and then I will look at it. Let's say there's a dispute in FOIA, and let's say it involves some department heads or maybe people on the board or something, and I feel there's a conflict, I'm going to ask corporate counsel to take over. But generally, corporate counsel they're on retainer, and I may periodically answer a few. If I feel like I'm out in the deep end of the pool and I don't know what I'm doing, I'll tell people. And that seems to happen more often than not. But
statutorily, what are your responsibilities statutorily?
Statutorily, my responsibilities is to advise the county, primarily criminal matters.
But not solely criminal matters. I mean, I really don't know.
But I can give you
the 210 mandated, non-mandated responsibility for the prosecutor.
Or maybe
Mandatory,
just an overview of the mandated
Yeah.
in relation to the county.
if somebody calls me and says, hey, I've got a question, I'll answer it. If I feel like if it's anything to deal with labor disputes or something, that's not my area. So, yeah, I'm happy to help out. I mean, sometimes, there have been members of the board that have asked for an opinion on something, but yeah, I mean, statutorily, my primary duty is to represent the county in criminal matters, abuse, neglect matters, that sort of thing.
All right, you have any follow-up questions? It's like you made it pretty simple.
Well, you guys made it easy too. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys and ladies and everybody again. Stay out of trouble. I will. I'm getting my hearing aids at 2, so I'll be able to hear everybody. So you can.
on record, sir.
Yeah, you can grumble on the way out and I won't hear you, but thank you. But again, I appreciate the board. Things are going well. When things aren't going well, you'll hear from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Next up, we have planning community development here. We have Gail here yet or no?
No,
Yep, we're running ahead of schedule again.
Must be you. No one will ever blame me for that.
Wow, you'd have been done 5 minutes ago.
cheers.
Energy.
Good morning.
I suppose they already introduced you, so you're good to go.
We're good to go? All right. I thought I would just start out by giving a little update on the planning department, who's over there and what we do. Besides myself, there is my senior planner, Jenny Herman, and our secretary, Allie Immel. And the three of us stay busy with several different things. Some of them are mandated, some are non-mandated. And we fulfill those services on behalf of the county. And we also administer and oversee grants, contractual agreements, and reporting and reimbursement requests to the EPA. We provide staff support to the County Planning Commission. And the solid waste management planning, we are involved, the Solid Waste Council and the Planning Department administer and oversee that plan. And as you know, we're currently creating a new materials management plan. And so we provide staff support to that planning committee. We are also the office that is officially responsible for the addressing and road naming in the county. We also administer the housing program. And as director, I also serve as the director on the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. And I'm also an appointed member on the Land Bank Authority, and our office provides staff support to the chair, John Gallagher. And our department took over the remonumentation program back in 2019, so we administer that program as well. And as far as the budget goes, for my office budget, I just asked for a slight increase to cover membership dues and some education. And then I did ask once again for the capital outlay for the Solid Waste Council budget to cover some upgrades at a couple of the recycling sites. We've been talking
Where?
some of the recycling sites, we've been talking surveillance. The recycling site in Cedar at Bunting's, we have to provide some striping. That was part of the agreement that was made.
Do you have cameras at the
Glen Arbor School, we do.
The Glen Arbor recycling site.
Yes, okay, yeah, we call it the Glen Arbor School, yeah, we do. We have them there and Elmwood recycling site.
Be nice if you could, is there any way you could tune into those from your office?
If there is Wi-Fi available at that site, and I have permission, then we can set it up that way. But as of right now, I don't have access to any. Pardon?
There's no Wi-Fi at the Glen site?
No. If something happens there, then we have to physically go out to the site and review the footage.
They don't have Wi-Fi there?
Not as far as I know, they don't, because it's just some storage shed there, some kind of building there.
Right, it's actually in the woods sort of, and there's a storage shed by it, but there's no Wi-Fi at all. That storage shed doesn't have, the school has Wi-Fi, but it's what, a quarter of a mile away from the site.
I'm saying that because I went there a week or so ago and there was a big truck from the homestead. And it was a second truck unloading into the bins, which is,
Electronics, things that should not use it.
and there was stuff in those bags that I saw lamp bases. in the Bags, we need to monitor that kind of thing.
I agree.
It's convenient, you know, you got a big load.
I have a comment to make about, for Rotary, I was at your recycle collection and shutting down last week, and Jenny and Allison were there, and they are so good to people
Yes,
that come in, so helpful.
they are.
Please thank them.
All right, you have any other questions? Wow. All right.
You, thoughts on this next year? You got any new programs, any?
New programs and
Yeah, anything that might make the planning department look a little different in a year, other than that funny little sign that used to go like
used to go
that?
in there. I think we're gonna look at some more education. We have a fall planning session coming up. We're talking about having a more hands-on session in the spring. So I think maybe some more training.
Education on recycling?
Well, this is gonna be tools for attainable housing.
Oh, okay. And is that gonna run through the planning commission too,
It-
or?
Yeah, they're hosted by the planning commission.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if all commissioners were there. I saw the program announcement for that, and we always struggle with the question, what can the county do for housing? And I think we're going to hear about some of those at that meeting. So I would urge you to send us all a personal invite.
Okay,
When is that?
I believe it is November 5th. We just had to reschedule.
Have you found townships, do they reach out for you, or are they, because, I mean, really, we have very, very little, control over land use, actual land use. I think, is that the direction you're headed, like affordable housing and land use as far as zoning? Have you found an interest, support among townships in that regard?
I'm not quite sure what support you.
There's been an effort to work with townships among affordable housing groups and the planning, who've been involved in that, or the planning department has, and planning commission through their former committee. And the root of local zoning is in townships. So my question was, have you found townships receptive to changes that would be more conducive to affordable housing?
I think that's the big issue right there. Yeah. Getting the zoning changed. That's a difficult part they're having.
But do you find them agreeable?
No.
I would add that the county has a real responsibility to advise all the townships on their master planning and on their zoning rules and the review process. And And at least Leelanau Township looked to the county for suggestions and ideas. And I think one of our roles is being convener and advisor on that. Yes, they're in charge of the zoning rule and the master planning, but they can use a lot of help. And I think they want help.
I think some do, and I think some don't. I mean, I think a lot of them do believe in self-determination of their own community. And my thought is that's how zoning works. That's why we don't have the zoning. That's why zoning laws are written to allow communities themselves to determine things like density, things like placement of growth. And that's why I asked if they're looking for help as far as if you are loosening restrictions that might encourage affordable housing, and some I know are not that interested.
Hopefully some more training can help.
Well, if that's their will, that's their will.
All right, any follow-up questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't encourage them. That isn't what I meant by that, but I hear from both sides of that equation. And some folks who are all for it, some folks who aren't. It's just the way it goes.
And like if they want children to be able to live here too.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gail.
Thank you, Gail.
All right, so next up, we are up to public comment. We'll go with commissioner comments. Commissioner Robbins.
I'd like to make a request to our administrator for, if we can pull it off with the finance department to look at, get some comparables for maybe look at the wages for salaries, I should say, for our elected people. I mean, just recently with the new contract with the command staff on the sheriff department, it kind of closed the gap quite a bit there between the undersheriff, and I think talking to some of the elected officials, they have not had a pay raise. They've had their increases, but there's not been a pay raise for any of our 5 elected people in quite a few years. So I think we need to, if we can, get some comparables and what's going to cost. We have some discussion, and if it's possible, maybe we can even get it on the agenda for next Tuesday.
I thought of that too. I think that's a big deal.
Commissioner Wesson.
Yeah, as we listened to the sheriff talk a couple of weeks ago about how difficult it was to attract and retain his people and how underpaid the staff is, and then we hear the judge talk about needing to give the kinds of increases he's proposing. I think we need to address the fact that we have a problem in our county making people able to live in Leelanau County. I think we need to address wages. I think we need to see if and I happen to agree with the judge, the cost of my living has certainly gone up more than 3% this year. And I think if we just treat the people like in the court and we don't address it countywide, we're going to have a problem. And the problem's going to be a problem of morale and a problem of other people leaving. And it's not a short-term fix, but I think we need to enlist our HR and our administrator and really review how we're compensating people and what we need to pay people so that they don't need another part-time job and they can't afford to live close to Leelanau County. And I would urge us to take that on as a project for this year to really study it and really address the problem. And the first step in addressing the problem is acknowledging we have a problem. And I think we have a problem.
Any other Commissioner Money?
Yeah, I just, we just negotiated the contracts, you know, and it still hasn't even been settled. And I would say that if we want to open it up to other salaries, I think we're just creating problems for ourselves and creating issues with other employees. Unless you want to renegotiate the contracts with the law office, I think that we really would be doing ourselves a disfavor to start looking at higher wages all the way around. I don't think that this 9–10% is really something reasonable. And I actually I'm very concerned about, a 9 or 10% increase. And I think that we need to actually, my thought was that we need to look at that budget and see where we can, work, what would I say, more reasonably with the judge and not look at increases that high or all the way around. I mean, I know that if we start giving them a 10% increase, we're gonna have dissatisfaction throughout the facilities, both here and across the street.
Aaron?
I agree with Commissioner that we need to adjust the salaries. Clerk and the treasurer and the register of deeds. It hasn't been done for years. Like our income last year hadn't been adjusted for 25 years. I don't know how many years it's been since we've adjusted those salaries. So a very, very long time. I think that some of the salary adjustments that our judge is talking about could be put in the same category. Commissioner Wessel has a really good point, and that is we have to pay people so they can live. And the cost of living is going up and up and up. So somehow we have to balance this. We have to be real about attracting people, keeping people, and paying them commensurate with their service. And we have to watch our budget. But I think we have to address this. We've been putting it off for years.
And of course, I wasn't suggesting that we renegotiate the contracts. I said it's not a short-term fix, it's a long-term fix, but I think we have to be aware of it. But it was only a week ago, we sat at the table and weren't sure we were even going to give an increase at all to our staff that weren't union employees. And I mean, we just have to address the fact that our employees deserve to make an honest living. And I think within a year, we could study our salaries and our wages and come back with a plan to make incremental adjustments along the way to keep being able to attract people. And I think it's important. It's our job.
There's a number of trains coming at us, and I agree that fully that, yeah, we need to look at that. I don't agree with putting it on our next agenda, because the first train coming at us is the budget. And I think we can continue past this budget, and then rather than try to hurry this through and get it in the budget, which I don't think we could do and do right. So we're going to need studies. This is not something that it took us a long time to get here, and overnight or in a week, we're not going to get out of it. So first thing we got to do is let's get a budget, get it passed, get it in. Time's running on that, and then I'm with you. Let's address these differences. And because I don't want to speak again, because I didn't want Mark to
No,
know
you're
about it.
Fine, you're actually saying something.
Yeah,
Yeah, you understand, we've got a budget that we need to take into account.
I don't know where we're at or how, eventually you gotta step back and look at the whole thing. And I don't know if we made any advancement this week. I still would like that, the CIP and what has to go into the budget. That's been rolling over every week for probably 3-4 weeks, and we gotta have that in order to we gotta know what's discretionary and what isn't discretionary. And until we get that CIP number, we don't know the difference.
Mr. Robbins?
Part of this is, I'm only looking at the elected people, I'm not looking at the unions or anything. What started is, if you look at, our budget, and it is our budget, this is one of the requests from our sheriff, is to talk about this. That's one of his requests, so that's why I'm saying it is part of this budget, and I'm sticking with just the 5 elected people here, and we need to get this going here. I don't think we can wait a year.
No, I don't.
But we're talking 5 people. We're not talking the unions, but like when you got the lieutenants are making this now. I'm not picking on lieutenants. And then you got an undersheriff who has more responsibility, and he's actually probably making less than a lieutenant now. We got to start looking at this stuff.
I agree. But you asked that our finance department work on this here in the next week, and I would rather have our finance department working on.
Well, I
the
think
budget.
they can, it's all in do is give us projections, give us some figures, what it may cost. I'm not saying we're gonna do it, but let's talk about it. That's what they're there for.
I agree. I just think it's a December, January thing rather than we got about a
Well,
month.
then we
to get
have
this
go
whole
another
thing.
year and it's December, January.
I didn't
I
say
mean, we
that.
can't even get a bulletin board for MSU.
All right. Any other commissioner comments?
Thank you for canceling the 21st.
Commissioner Money?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand where you use a non-elected official for a reason to look at the elected officials. You said the undersheriff, well, he's not an elected place, but yet you're saying that's the reason why we should look at the other.
But it was in the
elected.
sheriff's request for this budget.
Yeah, well,
Okay. The reasoning doesn't follow in my mind.
All right. Yeah, commissioner comments?
I actually don't see how we can go for years and not look at the salaries of the elected people. I don't understand that. Thank you.
I don't either. I haven't been on the board, and I'm not saying we go a year. I'm not saying we put it off, other than throw some number, use the numbers we have for the budget, and then you can go back, take a breath, and do the right job, because whatever we do this year is gonna carry over to every year after. But we need to do it. But let's get our budget done.
All right, so then I'll offer a couple comments. I understand where everybody's coming from, but I do think based on, we heard from the judge, we heard from a prosecutor today that we're not paying enough. So I think it is important to look at it. And I think the only thing that I saw Commissioner Robbins present is some comparables that administration and finance can bring out. If we look at those comparables and realize they don't fit in our budget this year, then that's a decision we can make on that. But at least we get to see some numbers and start to follow up on that. And that's what I support, to at least see something instead of just kicking the can down the road another year. I think it's important to at least look at some numbers and then make a decision based off of that to decide if we want to look at it, push it to next year to look at it. So I support that and we move in that direction. So with that, we're adjourned.